My name is Teresa, and I'm 57 years old. I had been working as a cleaning lady at the same building for nearly 2 decades. Every morning at 6 a.m., I swept through the marble lobby of the Blakewood Tower, silently observing the polished shoes of men who barely noticed I existed. But that morning, God be my witness, everything changed. Mr. Jonathan Hale, the elusive millionaire on the top floor, stood by the elevator with a thick folder in his hands. He was handsome in a weary way, dressed in a charcoal suit with his silver hair slicked back. Two lawyers stood behind him, pressing him to sign what they called the final document. I didn't mean to speak. I swear I didn't. But something inside me, maybe it was the Holy Spirit, maybe it was years of silent watching, made me step forward. "Don't sign that," I whispered. He turned, puzzled. "What did you say?" I froze. My heart thudded against my chest. I had just crossed a line no cleaning lady should ever cross. I said, "Don't sign that paper, please." The taller lawyer, a man with a smug little smirk, leaned in toward Mr. Hale. "She's just the janitorial staff, sir. We really should proceed." But Mr. Hale held up a hand. "Number? Let her speak." I felt everyone's eyes on me, those who never noticed me before. And somehow, I found my voice. "I know what's in that paper," I said quietly. "I've cleaned your office at night. I've seen things I wasn't supposed to. That contract, it's a trap." The elevator doors opened with a chime. What he did next shocked every soul in that lobby. The Blakewood Tower was more than just glass and steel. It was a monument to ambition. From the penthouse, you could see the entire city unfold like a map of power. Banks, luxury boutiques, offices filled with blinking screens and silent desperation. I didn't belong there, not really. My world was bleach, mops, and floors that never stayed clean for long. But when the building emptied at night, I noticed things. Documents left out, phone calls echoing through slightly open doors. I never pried. But sometimes the truth has a way of finding you. Mr. Hale wasn't like the other millionaires. He greeted people, remembered names. I once saw him help a delivery boy pick up a spilled crate of apples. But lately, his eyes had changed. Cold, distracted. I heard the rumors, bad investments, family betrayal, a desperate loan that now put everything he owned on the line. The lawyers, Mr. Trent and Ms. Vallon, were sharks dressed in silk. They came daily now, whispering in corners, watching me like I was an insect on a window pane. One night, while polishing the brass door handles, I saw them shredding papers in his office. Important papers. That's when I realized something wasn't right. Outside this tower, my own life wasn't much easier. I lived in a tiny apartment with my sister, who had a stroke last year. Medical bills piled up like dust under the furniture. I worked double shifts just to keep us fed. But that morning, something clicked. I saw Mr. Hale's signature hovering over a future he didn't understand, and I couldn't keep silent, even if it meant risking everything. Mr. Hale didn't sign, instead. He stared at the paper, then looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. "What trap?" he asked. The lawyers stepped in fast. "She's clearly confused," Ms. Valen snapped. "We've gone over every clause." "I wasn't talking to you," he said sharply. Then he turned to me again. "Explain." I hesitated. "They're transferring property rights to a company you don't control. I saw the letterhead last week, in the trash. Glidewell Holdings. That's Mr. Trent's firm." Trent's face twisted. "This is outrageous." Mr. Hale's jaw clenched. He opened the folder, flipped through the pages, fast, desperate. then slowed down. Then he stopped. His eyes widened. This clause, this wasn't in the draft I saw. I saw his hand tremble. Ms. Vallon stepped forward, voice icy. Jonathan, please don't let a cleaning lady derail your decision. Get out, he said. They blinked. He repeated louder this time. Get out! The silence that followed felt like a vacuum. Trent scoffed, but they both left. Heels clicking, doors swinging. Mr. Hale sat down on the marble bench by the elevator. He looked pale, like the weight of his empire had finally come crashing down. I stood awkwardly, unsure whether to leave or kneel and pray. Why did you speak up? He asked quietly. I swallowed. Because I've lost enough in life by staying quiet. He looked at me, his eyes tired but grateful. You just saved everything I've built. I didn't know what to say. But in that moment, something shifted between us. I was no longer just invisible. Over the next few days, everything changed. Mr. Hale didn't just avoid signing the document, he launched an internal investigation. People started whispering when I walked by, some even offering me polite nods. It felt strange, being seen. One afternoon, he called me to the rooftop garden, a place I'd never even dared peek into. You were right, he said, offering me a cup of tea, and Trent and Valen were quietly transferring my assets. If you hadn't spoken, I didn't interrupt. I just listened. My wife left 5 years ago, took our daughter, said I loved my bank accounts more than my family. He gave a sad smile. I thought she was wrong. But maybe I stopped seeing people somewhere along the way. There was a long pause before I spoke. Money's not evil, but blindness is. He looked at me, surprised by the bluntness. Then he chuckled. Spoken like a preacher. I didn't smile back. My father used to say, what good is wealth if your soul starves to death? Mr. Hale turned toward the skyline. I haven't spoken to my daughter in 3 years. Her birthday is next week. You should call her. I don't even know what I'd say. Start with what's true. Just then, a staff member rushed over, urgent, breathless. Sir, someone from Glidewell just entered your private garage. Without another word, Mr. Hale rose and motioned for me to follow. The tension thickened like a storm cloud above us. This wasn't over. We rushed downstairs. The private garage was dim, the lights flickering like something out of a bad dream. I stayed back, near the elevator, while Mr. Hale stormed ahead. That's when we saw him, Mr. Trent, standing by Mr. Hale's Bentley, briefcase in hand, typing frantically on a tablet. What are you doing here? Mr. Hale's voice echoed, sharp as glass. Trent didn't flinch. Cleaning up what should have been done weeks ago. You have no access to my vehicles. I had access to everything until you got emotional over a cleaning lady's whisper. I stepped forward. You tried to steal from him. Trent glared at me. You're nothing. Mr. Hale moved faster than I thought he could. In 2 strides, he grabbed the tablet and slammed it against the wall. It shattered. Sparks flew. Trent lunged toward him, but security arrived just in time. It all happened so fast. They tackled him, hauled him away. The briefcase flew open, revealing files, company ownership transfers, forged signatures, offshore accounts, evidence, real, undeniable proof. I looked at Mr. Hale. He looked at me. He was trembling, not from fear, but from something deeper. Betrayal, rage, relief, maybe all at once. As Trent screamed empty threats, Mr. Hale turned and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "This woman saved my life. She's not a cleaning lady. She's the reason I still own my name. I covered my mouth with both hands. I wasn't used to being spoken about like that, especially not by someone like him. The next morning, everything felt different. The lobby was quieter than usual. People spoke in hushed tones. Trent had been arrested overnight. News had already started to spread. Fraud, conspiracy, theft. The man who thought he ruled the building now sat behind bars. Mr. Hale found me by the service corridor. He wasn't in a suit, just a plain shirt and jacket. Something about him looked lighter. I terminated every contract tied to Glidewell, he said. And I reinstated the cleaning staff's full benefits, including yours. I blinked. I didn't ask for... You didn't have to, he interrupted. I should have done it long ago. That's when he handed me a sealed envelope. What's this? My daughter's number. I finally called her. I smiled. And he shrugged, nervous like a boy. She answered. We talked. She wants to meet. I don't know what will come of it, but it's a start. He paused, then added quietly, I owe you more than I can say. I looked at the envelope. You don't owe me. You listened. Most people wouldn't. He laughed softly. You know, I used to think riches protected me, but it was a lie. All that wealth, and I couldn't see who was really loyal. I nodded. Sometimes God humbles us to show who truly matters. He looked away, blinking fast. Do you believe in God, Teresa? I met his gaze. I believe he sees everything, even what others choose to ignore. He reached out and squeezed my hand. Not as a boss, as a man who had finally opened his eyes. 2 weeks passed. The building buzzed with change. Mr. Hale reorganized his company, replaced executives, and started attending meetings he used to avoid. But the biggest change wasn't in the offices. It was in him and in me. I wasn't invisible anymore. Every morning, I was greeted by name. Staff smiled. Mr. Hale even joined me for coffee once in the break room, something no one believed until they saw it with their own eyes. But then came a different kind of challenge. My sister's health took a turn. The stroke had left her weak, but now she was forgetting names, places, even me sometimes. The hospital bills grew fast, faster than I could clean. One evening, after a long shift, I sat alone in the stairwell and wept. My faith felt thin, worn like the soles of my old shoes. That's when I heard footsteps. It was Mr. Hale. He didn't say a word, just sat beside me. For a long time, then softly he asked, What do you need? I need a miracle, I whispered. He reached into his coat and pulled out a folded paper, a check. I shook my head. Number, I didn't help you for this. I know, he said. That's why I want you to take it. He placed it in my hand. It wasn't charity. It was recognition. I looked at the numbers and nearly dropped it. It was enough to cover my sister's care for the next year. Tears blurred my vision. I prayed for help, I said. Didn't expect it to come dressed in a suit. He smiled gently. Sometimes miracles wear leather shoes. As summer turned the city gold, things settled. Almost. Mr. Hale had begun visiting his daughter weekly. I could see it in his face, softening. The proud walls he'd built around himself were crumbling, slowly, honestly. But peace doesn't come without testing. One morning, he summoned me to the rooftop garden again. His hands trembled slightly, but not from fear. I need your advice, he said. I blinked. My advice? He nodded. My daughter. She asked me something big. He held out a letter. I read it silently. She wanted control of a foundation he'd started years ago, a trust for education and housing for the poor. She wanted to run it in his name. He sighed. It's everything I built, but I don't know if she's ready. I met his eyes. You weren't ready when you started either. That hit him hard. I'm afraid she'll waste it, he admitted. That she'll forget what it's really for. I nodded slowly. Then remind her, walk beside her, teach her. We sat in silence for a while. He finally asked, would you join us? Me? As a board member? Paid? Full-time? You've got more sense than half the suits I've ever hired. I laughed, but my heart pounded. The idea terrified me. I don't even own a briefcase. Good. He smiled. That means you're qualified. I didn't give him an answer yet, not then. Because deep down, I knew saying yes would mean stepping into a life I'd never imagined. But maybe that's how faith works. It doesn't wait for certainty. It just walks forward. The invitation came 3 days later. A formal dinner, press photographers, business leaders, all gathering for the official relaunch of the Hale Foundation. I almost didn't go. I stood in front of my mirror for a long time, wearing the only decent dress I owned, hands shaking, heart racing. But then I thought of my father's voice, clear in my memory. To whom much is given, much is required. So I went. The ballroom shimmered with chandeliers. Waiters floated between tables. And there, at the center stage, stood Mr. Hale, shoulders square, eyes scanning the crowd. When he saw me, he smiled. I walked toward him, every step a miracle. My people stared, whispers followed. But I didn't care. I had walked through storms heavier than their glances. He took the mic. Tonight, he began, we celebrate more than numbers or strategy. We celebrate restoration. He looked right at me. Because sometimes the most powerful voice in the room speaks the quietest. Gasps echoed as he gestured me forward. This is Teresa. She saved more than just a company. She saved my soul. I stood beside him, barely breathing. I was blind, he continued, but God used her to open my eyes. And now, with my daughter at the helm and Teresa by her side, we begin again. The room erupted in applause. I didn't cry. Not there. Not yet. But when I looked over and saw his daughter, young, strong, tears in her eyes, I knew something bigger than money had been restored. Not just wealth, legacy, family, faith. I took the mic just for a moment. God sees, I said. Even when we don't, he moves in the shadows and whispers through those the world overlooks. And the room went still. It's been 8 months since that night. I still wake up before dawn, still drink the same bitter coffee. But my life, it's not the same. I now work at the Hale Foundation full-time. We've built housing for families who lived in their cars. We've paid for school books. We've helped people like me, quiet, tired, overlooked, find their voice. Mr. Hale visits the office almost daily, but he lets his daughter lead. She's fierce, kind, and more capable than he ever imagined. Sometimes they argue, but now they talk. They laugh, and he listens. As for me, I moved my sister into a better care home. She forgets things still, but when I visit, she smiles. Sometimes she sings hymns under her breath. One day, I asked Mr. Hale why he chose to trust me. He said, because when everyone was trying to take from me, you were the only one trying to give. That stayed with me. Sometimes I walk past the lobby of the Blakewood Tower, mop bucket long gone. I see a new cleaning lady, nervous, quiet. I always stop. I smile. I ask her name. Because I remember what it's like to be invisible. And I refuse to let anyone feel that way again. The truth is, I never dreamed of riches, never wanted a stage. But now I understand. Sometimes God places you in a room not to be seen, but to make someone else see. And maybe, just maybe, that's the greatest kind of wealth there is. So, if you're out there, tired, unseen, wondering if your voice matters, it does. God hears. Even your whisper can move mountains, just like mine did.